Hey guys, Snoopy here. Today we're looking at the Overseer. So Overseer has two abilities. So Ruthless, once per turn, when you tax any city or build a ship at a starport, you may hit the building to take the action again with it. If you destroy a loyal city, you provoke outrage. But if you destroy a rival city, provoke outrage and ransack the court. And then Hated, end setup, scrap two loyal ships and three loyal agents and return them to the box. For starting resources, you get a fuel and a material. And then for ships, it's standard. So you have three ships in a city in A, three ships in a starport in B, and two ships in C. So, what are our initial thoughts? Well, the Ruthless ability basically lets you get double on attacks or a build with this ship for the price of damaging the city. So you could do this to your own cities and make them more likely to be destroyed, which could be good or bad depending on how your opponents are feeling. You can also do this with your starports so that they aren't as liable to be raided because they can't do multiple raids because the first raid may destroy it. So it could be useful, but it also means that you could be weak and vulnerable to a coordinated attack as well, where they just want to get rid of all your buildings, including cities and starports. You can definitely be aggressive with Ruthless and tax your opponent's stuff, and do it two times even when you're pivoting. So again, when you pivot, or just even just copy, you're only getting one action. However, with if it's a tax action or a build action where you're building a ship, you're getting two out of it. So that's huge. Um, Now, with Hated, you're getting rid of two ships. So that's one seventh of your ships. And so you're going to have 12 to everyone's 14 total. Now, you're starting with the same, but your maximum capacity is different. And so Warlord could really hurt you if your ships are getting stuck in people's trophy boxes. So you'll run out of ships first in that situation. Um, Agents is actually worse percentage wise. Is you're down 30%. So you'll have 7 versus everyone else's 10. So if your agents are trapped either in trophy boxes from people attacking your cities and provoking outrage and ransacking the court, or if you just get outbid and they seize your agents and take them as captives, um, you're going to feel it more quickly. And so this is where, as the overseer, you have to be very careful with Warlord. Be careful with Tyrant because you can run out of agents. You can run out of ships. And you will do so before everyone else will notice it or feel it. Um, and so this downside is pretty huge in longer games, but may not be. If you are able to get Warlord declared and get your agents in and out of the court quickly, then you may be fine. But just know that if your opponents are trying to target you, just be careful with your ships. Be careful, especially with your agents. Um, but otherwise, I really like Ruthless. It's really, really strong ability. Okay, what about some lore cards? We got some here that I think people expect, and maybe one that is not expected. So let's start with the one that's not expected. So survival overrides, martyr. So it's as a replacement for move action. Destroy one fresh loyal ship on the map to destroy one ship that is not loyal in the system, taking it as a trophy. Now your loyal ship does not become a trophy. This is often seen as one of the weaker or weakest lore card. But with Overseer, you have things that make it much better. So you can build ships twice as fast um, as other players just because of your Ruthless ability. Now, on average, it may not be twice as fast, but you could. So if you're pivoting or they can only pivot and you can only pivot or copy, then it will be twice as fast. And so trading a ship for their ship is okay for you because you can build it faster than they can rebuild it. And importantly, in a fight, if your ship's destroyed, it's going to their trophy box. And if Warlord's not declared, then your ship's going to be trapped. And since you're starting off with two less ships, it's going to be more felt by you than them. However, your ship is not going to their trophy box. It goes back to you. So you can destroy your ships, and you can do this multiple times. So let's say I've moved 4 ships in to my opponent, and I do, um, you know, a move where I can move 4 times with a mobilization card, for example. And so I use this to destroy my 4 ships, destroy their 4 ships. I get 4 trophies. Now I need to build those 4 ships again, but now I have now eliminated a threat. The table doesn't see me as a threat because 4 ships are gone, but I can rebuild much faster than my rival in that situation. Is this the best lore card for Overseer? Possibly not. I think there may be better options. But if I am first picking Overseer and I'm left with Survival Overrides, it's a very strong pickup just because of how it syncs with what we're trying to do as Overseer, where we're trying to avoid our ships getting into other people's trophy boxes while still dealing with threats at the table against us, and this is a great way to do that. Another card to think about is Warlord's Cruelty. While Warlord is declared, you may tax cities are already taxed this turn, and then Prelude you may discard as clear weapons outrage. Now, it's important to note that you can tax cities already taxed this turn, but Ruthless is only once per turn, so you can't do Ruthless 2 times. However, being able to tax a city 3 times is pretty good. So being able to do Ruthless, tax it, damage a city, tax it again, and then do Warlord's Cruelty, tax a 3rd time. If it's someone else's city, I'm getting 3 agents out of that, which is huge. And so Warlord's Cruelty, even if you're only using this once or twice a game, being able to pair it with Overseer and the Ruthless ability specifically, to where you can get 3 agents and 1 tax action or 2 tax actions in this case is pretty huge. So World's Cruelty is great, and then Empath's Bond. Well, Empath is declared you may tax any cities and build ships and catapult move with any starports like they are loyal. And so because of that, you can, you're not going to get agents out of this, but you can damage other people's starports and damage other people's cities just by taxing them or building there. So I would say Empath's Bond is another strong lore card, specifically for Overseer, just because of the Ruthless ability. Just be mindful that if you are being enemies and antagonizing the table, they can just try to wipe you out and not declare Warlord and just get rid of your ships. So just something to keep in mind, that you don't want to be the most aggressive with Empath's Bond, where you're destroying everybody's cities, but it's something you can do. So those are the main lore cards I would just point out, just to pair with Overseer. There's some other strong ones too to think about, but definitely with these leaders, don't just think about what's the best lore card and then pick a leader. Think about the leader. Think about what abilities stand out, what makes it unique, and then what are some lore cards that maybe not the first pick, and think about how you can pair it with your leader. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with these videos, and specifically with Overseer. This is where Survival Overrides, I really did not view it very high as a lore card, but when I think about Overseer, I see a lot of upside that I often miss just because of what the Overseer does. When we look at the guild cards for Overseer, I'm highlighting 3 here, and these 3 are for different reasons. Loyal Engineers is here because we want to think about repairing the damage we're doing. So if we're damaging our cities, damaging our starports, we want to be able to fix them and repair them as needed. And so having Loyal Engineers is a great way to ensure that as long as we get a resource, we can do that quickly when needed. Secret Orders here because if we're taxing 2 things, then we're going to monopolize resources pretty quickly. And so if I'm taxing a Psionic city twice, I'm going to get 2 Psionics. Or I'm taking a Relic city twice, I'm going to get 2 Relics. And so if we declare Keeper or Empath, the downside of that is that people can play a lower numbered card with more action pips on it and do more than we can. Well, now with Secret Order, we don't have to. And so the downside to declaring Empath and downside to declaring Keeper isn't there, and allows us to keep the initiative longer. And so Secret Order actually does pair well with Overseer, just because if you can tax a Psionic planet or tax a Relic planet and get double what other people can or have, then then you are incentivized to declare those. So this just helps you keep the initiative when you do that. And then the last card I have here is Court Enforcers. Um, and this is an actually card to watch out for. And so you can definitely use this as Overseer. You can use this, where you have a weapon strategy where you have a lot of weapon icons from your resources and your cards, and use this, especially since you can tax Weapon Planet twice with one action. So it's definitely something to think about. But you need to be careful for yourself. And here's why. You have 30% less agents than everyone else. You have 7. And so if people are targeting your agents, they could deny you access to the court. So whenever you put an agent 1 or 2 or even 3, they could just use a battle action to abduct them and just keep you out of the court for the rest of the game unless you have a psionic and a relic prelude shenanigan kind of turn. So you don't want that to be your story. You want to be able to get into the court, get the cards you need to when you can. And so if Court Enforcers is there, I would be tempted just to get it, just to discard it, just to get 3 ships. But even if I don't do that, I could definitely use it myself because I can tax a weapon planet, get the damage in to get that second weapon icon. So now if I have Court Enforcers with 1 tax, I can get up to 3 icons, and that's a serious, that's a serious threat. Most people are influencing just once or twice on a card, not 3 times. And so most of the time I can just easily abduct people. I can use multiple battle actions to abduct multiple rival agents. And so Court Enforcers is a really strong card for Overseer, but it's also a strong card against Overseer. So something to keep in mind. Okay, so these are my main thoughts on Overseer. I think overall Overseer is a very strong leader. I would put Overseer in the A tier. I think the hated downside can definitely hurt, especially a beginner player who doesn't realize the precariousness of having 2 less ships and 3 less agents, and that in chapter 3, chapter 4, even chapter 5, you could just be wiped out and you only have 3 ships to your name because all the other ships are in trophy boxes. And that's just a sad state of that arcs can get into, but it is part of the game. And so you don't want to be there, so you want to preempt that, and you can do things in chapters 1 and 2 and even 3 to kind of make sure that's not your story if you're playing as Overseer. And if you can do that, then I think Overseer is very, very strong. Being able to get more out of pivoting or copying when you tax or build a ship. But it's not perfect. Overseer definitely has a drawback. You can be targeted. You can have your ships trapped. You can have your agents trapped as captives or as trophies. So something just to be mindful of. But as Overseer, you can be aggressive and be in other people's spaces, attacking them and taxing them, or you could just expand outwards and claim planets for yourself and just tax them and repair them very, very quickly so that you can, tax a psionic planet, damage it, get it again, tax a material planet, damage it, use the 2 material to repair the 2 cities. So things like that you can do. But overall, I really like the Overseer. And let me know what you think. What are strategies you're looking for when you play with Overseer?